Today we're going to transform this plain note into this well-formatted note by using the formatting tools available in Apple Notes across iPad, iPhone, and the Mac. There are actually lots of formatting options in Apple Notes, but many of them are hidden. So I'm going to show you how to find them, how to use them, and I'm going to apply them to this note so you can see the impact that some changes can have on the final layout of your notes. This is episode 2 of this Apple Notes Masterclass. If you want to be notified when I publish new videos, please subscribe and hit the bell. And now, let's get started. So for this episode, we're going to use this note. It's a note that ChatGPT created for me. I asked for a note that a student could have taken at a chemistry class. And as you can see, the content is perfect. There are no changes that need to be made to the content. But when it comes to remembering the content, when it comes to skimming through it, when it comes to, extract key bits of information, it's basically impossible in this note. It's exactly the same, it's long, it's frankly boring. So we're going to use this note as a way to showcase all the formatting options that are available in Apple Notes to make it more interesting. So the first thing I would do here would be to add some structure to my note. So the first thing is this one. This is the title of my note, and it should be reflected in the structure. So I go to this menu here, which contains all the styling option, and this menu is exactly the same on mobile devices, except in that case, there are also options for the indentation. And I'm going to say that this one is my title. And as you can see, there is immediately a change. The font is now bigger, it's bold, and there is also this icon here that shows that this is a collapsible section. This is something that was added in iOS 18, and it's the ability to collapse entire sections, which will be collapsed until the same level or higher level of structure is found. In this case, this one is a title, and this one is just body text, so it will compress everything. Now, going one level down, and by the way, levels are here. Title is the most important level, and then heading, and then subheading, and then the rest. This one is one of my headings. So again, I'm going to change it here to heading. And again, this one is now collapsible. And if I click, it will collapse everything because everything else is body text. But if I change this one now to heading, now this will compress my text to the point it finds another heading. So something to bear in mind, because sometimes it's way easier to collapse some sections just to work on a single one. So I can continue now highlighting text and adding the heading, but I want to show you a different way of doing it, which is this. You select the text, then you go to your format menu, and as you can see, you can choose the same things here. However, on the Mac, there is also a shortcut, Shift-Command-H for headings. So I can go there and press this key combination Shift-Command-H to select the text and convert it into a heading. And I can do the same here and everywhere else that needs to become a heading. The shortcut is actually very easy to use, and it doesn't require you select the text. Anywhere you are on the line, you can simply press the key combination Shift-Command-H and transform into a heading. Now, next thing is to make the text bold. To highlight some specific words, we can go back to the format menu here and choose to make it bold or italic or underlined or any combination of them really. So in this case, I'm going to make the definition of atom bold to add some visual weight to this bit of text. And I can do the same with other parts. So I select text, I go here and I choose bold. Again, on the Mac especially, there are shortcuts to make the text bold, which you can find here. Format, font, and then this is the styling we are talking about. So in the case of bold, is Command-B. And I'm going to use this in the next changes. For example, this one, the atomic number, I'm going to press Command-B to make it bold. And I'm going to continue selecting text and making it bold across the note. Now, I've highlighted a few words, and it's already full of visual cues that will make it easier to skim through the text. However, it's still a very long text, so there are lots of additional things that we can do, and we can leverage, again, the formatting options here to add some lists, for example. Now, this one is a perfect candidate for a list, so I can go into the formatting options and say I want some bulleted list. And again, the format menu will give me a list of shortcuts, which I can use to create lists way more easily. In this case, the bulleted list is Shift-Command-7. So I can highlight some text here, Shift Command 7, and this will be bulleted as a list. So it's way easier to create lists this way on the Mac. And now I'm going to continue adding bulleted lists to my notes to standardize the content. I'm just selecting the text and then pressing the Command accented A in my case to increase the indentation. Okay, again, here there are a couple of quotes that were captured by Niels Bohr, and for these types of content there is a block quote formatting options up here, block quote, that will give it a slightly different layout with this line here, and in this case I can remove the bullet points by selecting this text and pressing Command Shift B to transform it back into body text. So this is now a block quote with some normal text. Now, another thing that I noticed while I was creating my bullet points is that there is this electron configuration notation here for the sodium, which is written correctly, 1s2, 2s2, and so on, but it's not typed correctly, because the proper notation would be to convert these numbers into smaller superscript text. And this, surprisingly, is actually available in Apple Notes. So if you select the text here, there's number 2, and then you go to Format, Baseline, and then Superscript, you will see that this has been now converted to a superscript text. And I'm going to do the same for the 6 and for the 1. So at the end of this, we have a properly written, properly typed electron configuration notation for sodium, which again, it's probably not something that you use normally, but it's nonetheless an interesting thing which is available in Apple Notes that probably not many people know about. Another thing that you can do to format your notes and add visual interest is the use of emojis. You could add emojis, for example, this one. Whatever makes sense to you in terms of icons. Now I'm going to add a bunch of them just to show you what is possible. And I'm going to speed up this bit. And I realized that I didn't style this bit of text, so heading 10. So I'm going to do it very quickly using shortcuts. Shift Command H to create a heading. Shift Command 7 to create a bulleted list, and these 3 here, Command accented A in my case, to indent it. So super quick way of editing notes. So now this section about the diagrams makes me realize that there is a great opportunity to talk about monostyled text. Now, up here we've discussed the electron configuration notation, which is typed like this, but it can also be represented using some drawings. You know, the atom with the electrons in the different shells around it. And the best way to do it using your keyboard is to use the monostyled text. Now, monostyled text is available up here, and it's probably one of those unsung heroes of Apple Notes because it's really a fixed width text. The same type of text used in ASCII art. And I've created an example of this, an example of what this atom could look like using monostyled text, which is available here. I've created it myself using simple fixed width characters that are available in Apple Notes. And now I can basically take it and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to create this section here with this drawing. Then I'm Command V to paste it, and now this monostyled section shows the layout of these electrons around the atom. This thing also provides me with the perfect opportunity to showcase another incredible feature on the Mac, which is the ability to change the colors of the text, which is something that it's not available on iPads and iPhones, although they're able to reflect and display those changes. So if you go here to the Format menu, go down to Font, and then here, Show Colors, or maybe with a shortcut, Shift Command C, you can display the color wheel. And whatever you choose here will be reflected on the text. So you can select some text, for example, and change it to, let's say, strawberry. And all these changes will be reflected on your iPhones and iPads. You won't be able to change the colors there, but you will be able to see them. So if I wanted, I could maybe color code the shells, these little orbits around the atom, in different colors. So let's say that the outer shell is red. So I'm going to select this text and I'm going to make it red, maraschino. Now I can do the same here for maybe this one is going to be blue. And the one inside could be maybe green, spring. And of course, I can continue highlighting the shell by selecting this character here and making it red, and then this one, and so on. But of course, it will be time consuming, and we don't like time consuming things. So here's another little trick that I guess unless someone tells you, there is no way you will actually discover it. And it's the ability to select vertically. So look at this. If you move here, but before you start selecting, you keep the Option key pressed, you will see the pointer turns into a crosshair. And at this point, I'm keeping the Option key pressed. I can then click with my mouse and select and drag down. And this is selecting just that column. And at this point, with this text selected, I can release all the keys and I click on the color, and now the entire column will change color. So I can do this thing much more easily here as well. Command, Option, drag, and turn into a red color. And I can do the same here. This one was blue, blueberry, I think. And again, Option, too much, Option, drag down, blueberry. And this one here, it's Option, drag down, and I think it was spring. And there you have it, vertical selection and the ability to change colors. So in a few seconds, we've seen monostyle text, ASCII art, which to be fair took way longer than a few seconds to create, the ability to select columns, and the ability to change the color of the text. All of these things, by the way, apply to the rest of your page if you want to change colors in other parts. But there is something else that I want to tell you here, another hidden feature that not many people know about. In this case, I like this matrix here, but I don't like it on the left side of the page. I'd rather have it at the center. So probably the most intuitive way of achieving that would be to go here at the beginning of each row and add lots of spaces until everything moves to the center. But there is a way quicker way to achieve that. If you select all the text, and then you go to Format, Text, Center, and notice the shortcut here, the entire thing will be moved to the center of the page. This will be reflected on iPad and iPhone, and it will stay at the center of the page, even if the note shrinks, even if you resize it, and so on. This, of course, can be applied to other parts of the page. For example, I can go up here to my title, and I can center the title. I'm going to use the shortcut in this case, which is Command and then the SS symbol. And this is now at the center of the page. And by the way, I can move this, maybe Control X to cut it. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to make it maybe italic, and maybe I'm going to change its color. I'm going to make it this one, blue. I've removed a couple of spaces, and now I've got my lecture here, which has got a center title, a subtitle in italic and a different color, and then a series of paragraphs, which I can collapse and expand as I wish. I've got some colored text. I've got lots of visual interest now in the notes that will help me find the information that I need. But I can do more than that. For example, I could highlight bits of the text using the highlighter feature, which is new in iOS 18. There are 5 highlighter colors that you can choose from, and maybe I can go and have all my examples highlighted in green or mint. So these are two examples. There is another example here. I can highlight it mint color. By the way, there is a shortcut on the Mac for the highlighter as well, which will apply the last selected color. So if I go to this example and I press Command-Shift-E, it will format that using the last selected color for the highlighter. I can do the same here. And let me see if there are more examples. Okay, probably not. The highlighter can also be used to highlight specific types of content. For example, I've used the mint color to highlight examples. I may use the red color to highlight areas that I want additional information on. For example, okay, there's an example here, by the way, which again, Shift-Command-E, I'm going to select and turn into a mint color. But let's say I want some additional information on compounds. I may select this using the maybe purple color. And at this point, this thing is in a different color, which to me may have a specific meaning. And by the way, I recommend that you write down what is the meaning of your selections and your highlighters so that you have some sort of reference for this. And to do that, this is really easy. I press Command-N to start a new note in which I describe my typography reference. That I can look back to when I want to highlight something, and I can continue using my style consistently. So I could have examples, additional information needed, questions, and I may have more. So examples, I'm going to color code using the mint highlighter. Additional information would be the purple highlighter. Questions maybe in orange, and so on. And I can continue, and I can leave my note open here, or maybe open it when I need it, so that I can use my style consistently. And you can use this reference note for any note you have, and for any type of content you may have in your notes. So particular styling of your bullet points, maybe specific colors that you want to use across your notes, and for fonts, which we're going to cover right now. Now, the ability to change fonts in Apple Notes is probably one of the best kept secrets. Not many people know that they can change the size of the font, the color of the font, let alone the font family. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how this can be done on the Mac, and I will also show you that some of those changes, not all of them unfortunately, will be reflected and visible on iPhones and iPads. I'm saying not all of them because, as it normally happens, if you have some font families installed on your Mac but not on your iPhone, then these things won't be visible. The color will move across, the size of the font will move across to your iPhones, but not the font family. So let's change the font family of this text to see what I'm talking about. I could go here to maybe this title, and I'm going to change the font. So I'm going to go to the Format menu, Font, Show Fonts. Look at the shortcut, Command-T, which is very useful. Show fonts, and here are my fonts. Let's move these out of the way. So I've got lots of fonts available on my Mac, and I know for a fact, by trial and error really, that many of them are not reflected on my iPhone. So for example, this font, which I normally use in my videos, which is called Bangui. If I select this and I switch it to Bangui, this font won't be reflected on my iPhone. Now, I'm going to show you on the iPhone very quickly how to check whether you've got fonts installed that Apple Notes can use, or whether you can download additional fonts. So if you go to your settings, and then General, and then Fonts, you will see there are System Fonts and My Fonts. Now, in this case, we click on System Fonts, and you will see a full list of fonts that are either already installed on this device, or they can be downloaded. Now, the ones with the blue download symbol, of course, you can click to download. So in this case, for example, if I wanted to download the, let's say, Braganza fonts, I will click on the download link and it will start downloading the font. And when the download is complete, I can click on it, see all the variants of this font that has been installed. In this case, it's just one, which is displayed here. So at this point, if I were to format any note on my Mac using this font, provided that I have it on the Mac, it would be reflected in Apple Notes on the iPhone. And if I wanted to do the same on the iPad, I would have to repeat exactly the same procedure for the iPad to be able to leverage that font. One last thing to mention is that this section about my fonts is a section that really belongs to third-party apps. You can go to the App Store and download font managers that can install additional fonts to your iPhone. For example, if I wanted to install the Bangi font, which comes from Google Fonts, to this device, I would have to download a download manager and then install it. And at that point, I could use the Bangi font, which I use in my videos, on my iPhone as well. I haven't done it, but I could do it if I wanted. These apps cost 2, 3, 4 euros, either one-off or maybe as a monthly subscription. Some of them give you the possibility to install a couple of fonts without paying anything. So have a look, open the App Store, search for font managers, and you will see what is available. Now, back to Apple Notes. For example, fonts such as the DIN alternate will be reflected. So if I select my text and click on this thing here will be reflected on the other devices. And again, I can use it to add visual interest. So I could make this one blue, for example, and I can replicate the same thing on the other headings. And there is, by the way, nothing preventing me from using different colors across all of those headings. Maybe this one, which is important definitions, I'm gonna transform into DIN alternate, but make it red. Key formulas, again, blueberry and DIN alternate. Takeaways. So I've just noticed that the size of this title, of this heading, is bigger than the others. I don't know why, but of course, it's another occasion to show that you can change the size of the font by clicking here, for example. This one, let's have a look, it's 18.7, okay? So we can make this one 18.7. And now they are all the same. Also, another couple of things to mention. One is here. Look at this text. Starts with a capital T, then it's got a capital A, and then the rest is lowercase. I would rather have this sentence either all in uppercase or maybe capitalized in a sort of camel case, as they call it, so where every word has the first letter capitalized. I could do this manually, of course, but we don't like tedious things, so I can select the entire text. I can go into the Edit menu, Transformations, and then either make uppercase or capitalize. Let's try the uppercase option. Not bad. Let me try the capitalized option. I think I like both of them. I'm probably going to go back to the capitalized option. The same thing I could do on any other part of my content. Now, as you can see, the number of fonts and styles and colors on the page is actually growing. And I may want to create my own predefined style in which all my headings, for example, are in this DIN font colored blue, and so on. So I can go back to my typography reference note and I can create a heading in the same fonts that I want to apply to those headings. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it here, and this is going to be my heading style. Now that I have my heading style here, I can select one word, press Command Option C to copy the style, and then apply the style to any part of any other note. I select some text, and I press Command Option V to paste the style, and this is now attached and applied to that row. And this is a bit of a time saver, especially if you develop your own style and you want a consistent look and feel across your notes. This is a very easy way to achieve it. One point to notice is that sometimes this copy and paste style doesn't work as expected. For example, in this case it did, but on other situations you could have pasted the color of the text and the font, but not the size. In that case, you need to manually go in and update it as we demonstrated earlier on. So at this point, we've covered 90% of what I wanted to say. There are another couple of outstanding useful things. The first one is, don't forget, across your system, if you have a Mac, an iPad, or an iPhone, there is the universal clipboard, which means that you can copy something on one device and immediately paste it on another device, which may be convenient in some situations. Maybe you are browsing the internet on your Mac and typing some notes on the phone, or vice versa. You find an image that you want to drag in, you can highlight the image, copy it, and then paste it directly on the other device. The second thing that I wanted to mention, which is potentially very useful if you want to separate your notes even more visually, is the ability to drag dividers. If you have a file with some dividers on your Mac, for example, in this case, let me see, I've got this one, which I can drag to separate sections. So I'm dragging from the Finder here, and I'm going to drop it here, and this is now a divider. And as we've seen earlier on, I can place this divider in the middle of the page by using a shortcut, which in my case is Command, Shift, and then SS symbol. And now it's a centered divider. I can divide many other sections using additional dividers. And by the way, I've got an entire video on how to insert dividers in Apple Notes. You may want to have a look at that. But I can drag another one here, let's say, and again, make it centered. And maybe another one here before the important definitions. So in the space of just a few minutes, we've transformed that long, plain, boring note into something which is way more interesting, more visually interesting. And I've only scratched the surface. As soon as you familiarize with all the possibilities, shortcuts, colors, fonts, typography, layout, and so on, you can truly define your own style and apply it consistently to make your notes unique and more memorable. Now, the next thing to make your notes even more powerful is to start adding links. And in the next lesson of this Apple Notes Masterclass, we're going to talk about links. Thank you very much for watching till here, and hopefully see you at the next episode.